Hi there. I must apologize for the late upload of this video. Sadly, my laptop passed away on Friday, and we've just done a quick scramble to get the video done. No clever editing. So thank you for that. At least the kettle is still working. So, welcome. It's Deacon Mike, and welcome to a Cuppa with Mike, where on some stage during a week you and I meet, we take a little bit of a breather and look at the gospel of the day. Oh, that tastes good. So, our gospel this Sunday really completes a journey that we've been on for the last few weeks. So Jesus has journeyed from Galilee and now is in Jerusalem, outside the temple. And in fact, it's outside the temple that this gospel passage takes place. And I'm just going to give a quick scene set. Obviously, the people, his followers, are now looking at the temple, the beautiful temple, and saying how beautifully it's adorned. And Jesus starts to comment. Now, just for a little bit of background, after Jesus' death, the Christian community grew, particularly after the coming of the Holy Spirit. But they remained within the Jewish religion. Tensions brewed and then ran over between the Pharisees and the Christians, who claimed that Jesus was the Messiah. He was the Son of God. The Pharisees found this to be heresy. The most famous of these incidents was Saul, who was really responsible for Stephen's stoning to death. But it wasn't just within the Jewish community that these tensions arose. There were also tensions between the Jewish authorities and the Roman authorities. And this sort of reached an apex in 70 AD. When the Romans had had enough, they walked into Jerusalem and literally destroyed the temple. There was not one stone left. In fact, I think the lintel of the temple was only really uncovered properly a few years ago, found falling where it had fallen those thousands of years ago. During that this first 100 years, there was also a major earthquake in the area, and a famine broke out, which people had to contend with. And it was after this sort of 70 AD destruction of the temple and the tensions now reaching a peak in the communities, that Luke wrote this gospel to the communities, and he must have reflected on Jesus' words, the words that Jesus had said to his followers outside of the temple. And let's just listen to these words, because they might make a little bit of sense, more sense, certainly they did to me, when I understood the history. So when the people said, "Oh, Master, this temple is so beautiful," Jesus says, "As for these things which you see, the days will come when there shall not be left one stone upon the other." And then, of course, the people say, "Oh, Master, tell us, when will this happen?" And he said, "Look, you must be wary of people who say, they're sort of coming in my name, I am he, the time is at hand." He said, there's a lot that we're going to go through. And then he goes on and talks about political unrest, a kingdom going against kingdom, nation against nation. He talks of famine, great earthquakes. He talks about the persecution of Christians, where they're going to be hauled before the synagogue, when they're going to be rejected by families. And then he says these reassuring words. He says, "But through all of this, not a hair of your head will perish. By your endurance, you will gain your lives." Now, let's look at today's world. It is in chaos. Nothing has changed. We have nation against nation. We have many wars taking place. We've got famine in Africa. We've got the most appalling things happening in the Middle East and in South America. We are also being told by many people that, we are living in the end times. And I think, firstly, we need to take Jesus' reassurance at hand and say, many will come to say the time is at hand. Elsewhere in the gospel, he reminds us that it's only God the Father that knows when the end time is. But he says, effectively, don't despair. Don't despair at the chaos, because we need to endure it. We need to look at it in the big picture, because with endurance, not one hair of your head will be lost. In fact, you will gain your own lives. I hope this gives us some reassurance in the week ahead. I hope you've enjoyed our reflection on the gospel. Hey, next week it's Christ the King, the end of our liturgical calendar. And until then, I hope you meditate on the reassurance that we've been given, and God bless. See you next Sunday.